All right, my friends, welcome to the Advanced Production Techniques course. We're going to fly along pretty fast and in your face simply because at this point you're all ready. If not advanced, you're ready to be advanced and understand the jargon and all of that. So, first things first, I just want to throw out there something that is so often overlooked, but it's utterly important. Probably the most important thing. So in a weird way, this course will work backwards then, because I'm giving you the gold right now. The biggest issue I see with producers, excuse me, is that they overthink every freaking thing. Now that doesn't mean that you shouldn't layer. It doesn't mean that, you shouldn't do what the song calls for or what the mix calls for. But at the same time, you have to understand the psychology of a common music consumer, I guess you'd call them, a common music fan, and the sociology of music fans as a whole. It's a hard balance to strike, mostly because you and your mind will be your own enemy. And what I really mean by all of this is it is so easy to overthink extra parts and how to make a track and how to mix a track and how loud should your master be, and a million other things that I could list off right there. When at the end of the day, just make the fucking track. Just make it. And like, a great way to cut through the bullshit is to get a reference and listen to how your mind hyped up a reference. But when you listen to it calmly, when you listen to it in reference to the track that you made, similar to it, of course, and when you listen to it with a doubting mind, and that is to say, listen to it and play a game with yourself. Say to yourself as you hear it, is that it? This isn't that good. I know what they're doing here. I possess all the tools. Because you do, guys, you do. If you have a soft synth, a bunch of presets, and a bunch of samples, you more or less have the tools that any other producer has. And if by some odd, way they have something that you don't, like some weird plugin that stutters and does a lot of the audio editing work for them, or stutters and pans at the same time, you can either put the work in to do that yourself by automating the pan while audio editing stutters in, or go and buy that plugin. So I am going to be like that. I am going to reduce this down to like, stop overthinking it, just get it done, and consult a reference. I have so many times listened to my tracks without a reference and then pulled in a reference that was similar and realized I am way, 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 way overhyped than the reference. Meaning, way too many parts, way too loud of sounds, way too wide on my panning, way too heavy on reverb, way too heavy on compression. Your mind and your imagination runs wild if you do not have an anchor to anchor it down, and that anchor being a reference. With a lot of my tropical stuff, I'm layering, I'm making all kinds of stuff wide. It sounds like a tropical mega festival. And then I listen to tropical EDM that's played at mega festivals, and it's not nearly as wide, it doesn't have nearly as many layers, it's not nearly as compressed, it's not nearly as panned, it doesn't have nearly as much junk in the background as mine does, stuff that you can barely hear, but you can feel it, man. Some of that is true, I guess, but a lot of it isn't. And here's where I can kind of stomp on the doubters that are like, no, it is true. You need to layer and you need to obsess. It's true to a point, but at what point are those people actually completing music, a full track, getting it done, putting the stamp of it being finalized, meaning it's mastered, it's exported, and it's already on its way to Spotify and all the other distribution channels out there, streaming services. So it's like you sort of have kind of like people who like get music done, get tracks done, and then people who don't, and they obsess over the techie, geeky, super, nerdy stuff, but like they never put out a track, or they put out like a track a year. Um, don't do that. It's better to have your music have imperfections, um, or maybe been able to be mixed a little bit better, which I'm going to show you how to get around that too, um, than to have a bunch of gear, pay for a bunch of courses, have a record deal right here with me on the line, and never complete one damn track. It's crazy to me. Um, so, adding an extra layer, thinking about it, sleeping on it is okay, so long as you finish that track by the end of, I'll even be generous and say by the end of the month. Okay? Probably more like the end of the week, to be honest. But there's absolutely no reason why you need to overthink and obsess over things that people are going to quote unquote feel instead of hear. I get it if that is specifically your thing, like if you're sort of the, I don't know, the Pink Floyd meets Jimi Hendrix meets Crystal Method of current day EDM music, then yeah, I guess ear candy is something you want to do. Um, but for the most part, if you're making a basic dance track, why are you obsessing over the panning flute that's super low in volume, that you can barely hear, let alone make it audible that it's panning from left to right? Why are you spending more than 10 or 15 minutes on that? Even that, why? It's ear candy that isn't going to be heard. Now, I love ear candy. I'm not saying, for the main parts to not be focused on or not have cool effects in the background or ear candy, but like too many people lose an entire day in the studio obsessing over things that can barely be heard. They justify it by saying it's a sensory thing, it's felt, and the common listener in a nightclub after 4 drinks is not going to notice this. The common listener that's whacked out on Molly or whacked out on heat stroke in the front row of a summertime festival isn't going to notice this. You notice ear candy when you're at home, when it's super quiet, it's super chill, you have no distractions of friends or kids or family or partners or whatever, you've got your very best headphones on, and you actually are listening and are not distracted by having the music on while studying, cooking, working out, showering, doing yard work, going on a run. So, what I'm saying is, most things in life are distracting, and we put music on during those tasks. So, if you're not able to hear the ear candy super deeply buried in the mix that's panned over to the left side while you're running and a dog's barking and there's waves crashing and there's traffic and a loud truck or a sizzling pan during dinner or your kids or your partner or a TV in the other room or you're studying, why are you wasting time on that? So please, guys, part of being advanced is having the maturity to take away certain parts that you've been obsessing over and focus on the core parts, get them done, get them sounding great, which really shouldn't take that much either. And then upon sleeping on it, you realize, all right, I guess I do have an hour to screw around and add some background ear candy for my trippy people out there that are on shrooms and looking for the background deep gold, if you will. But that should not be your focus. Um, Finish the damn track. That's the focus. Get it out. It's going to be on a loud sound system, played to a bunch of people that are either stuck in a conversation with friends and not fully paying attention, jumping up and down and just happy to release their stress, whacked out on drugs, including alcohol, and so on and so forth. So it's just not necessary to spend precious moments in your life doing anything other than conquering the task of streamlining music production. It doesn't mean we're going to throw crap at a wall and try to pass it off as gold to everyone. Your music still has to be good. It still has to be gold. It's just that the direction that people think that they need to head in order to achieve gold in music production 99% of the time is completely off and completely wrong. And it's because of marketing misleading you and crappy YouTube tutorials from people who don't really actually know. So join me in the next video and we're going to get started.